It's time to yeet some books. Hi, I'm Beck and welcome to a video where I'm doing an unhaul and I'm getting rid of a total of 19 books. I have read and tried most of these and I've just decided for various reasons that I do not want to hold on to these. So I thought I would show you before I ended up getting rid of them all. So let's go. This first section of books is going to be fairly recently discussed on my channel. So I have a couple of vlogs related to these, so I will link all of the relevant videos in order in my description so you can go and check out more of my detailed thoughts, because I'm going to get rid of this cozy fantasy book called A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic just because I found the writing incredibly bland and I was really hoping for a little bit more intimacy and emotional, I guess, tension, or not even tension, just more of a foundation for this story. And it feels like the cozy fantasy genre has very much been oversaturated, and it's just like they look at the genre, whoever wants to write in it, and they go, it needs baking, it needs magic, and it needs characters who trust each other. And that seems like a decent formula, but if your character work and your writing aren't up to par, then it doesn't cut the mustard. And unfortunately, I got 80 something pages into this and I put it down. So I have no reason to hold on to it anymore. This might be an unpopular opinion given that these are sapphic, so female-female romances, and I'm getting rid of these two books, A Pirate's Life for Tea and a Can't Spell Treason Without Tea book as well. I got the first one for review a long time ago and I gave it 3 stars, and it was one of those books that is just enough, but I found the last part of the story in terms of pace and intention and plot dragged a little bit for me, and so that made me go, oh, I'm not really sure about the sequel. And then I did a move that was very unlike me and I went and bought the sequel, and I shouldn't have bought the sequel because I got 160 pages into this and I DNF'd it, so I did not finish it. I put it down, and it just made me sad about this genre because I love cozy fantasy when it hits right, and these didn't quite hit right. They felt a bit immature in their characterization when these characters are supposed to be adults. The incredible amount of puns did not land, and it just felt like these characters could have been developed better, but it just wasn't working, unfortunately. So these two are also going. The next book I've got is a Chunkosaurus, and I tried 91 pages of this and I decided that it wasn't for me in terms of the writing style, and that is the first binding. And I'm a huge fantasy reader, but this one just wasn't, again, hitting like the rest of these in this video. It wasn't hitting right for me, and it took more than 80 pages of this character faffing around to actually get to the point of starting to tell somebody his story. And then the person that he chose to tell his whole story to, he didn't really know, and it just felt disingenuous. And like this character was posturing, and I just did not like the descriptions. I didn't like how it was carrying on, and it just needed to get to the point and the intention faster. I get that for a long book, like this is 900 pages, you're supposed to draw things out a little bit, but not in this way, not in the setup, not at the beginning, not to immerse your reader. And unfortunately, that's what was happening. So the more I read, the more I was put off, which is not how a book that is this long is supposed to work. So that was really unfortunate. Again, I have 2 vlogs for this one. The first one, I got 25 pages into it and it's my initial thoughts. The second vlog, I got obviously the 91 pages, which ended on a chapter, and those are my wrap-up thoughts. So I also talk about this in my May wrap up. So there are 3 videos if you want more information about this one. Unfortunately, it's going now. Additionally, this next one has a reading vlog attached to it as well, and I was sent this one by a publisher, which I'm very thankful for, and I actually enjoyed it. It's a sci-fi book and it's called Of Monsters and Mainframes, but I gave it a 3.5 stars, and despite its beautiful cover and the fact that it's sci-fi, which is a genre that I really enjoy reading, I just don't feel any emotional attachment or need to hold on to it anymore, so I'm more than happy to sell it or donate it, whichever ends up landing. And this one follows an AI in a spaceship, and the spaceship is called Demeter, and it's about her journey in how she figures out how to protect her crew, because at the beginning of the story her crew is entirely killed by Dracula. So now she's like, I need to track down Dracula, but in between that there's a whole bunch of different massacres on board her and people call her the ghost ship, and she wants to shed this label and figure out a way around her natural protocols so that she can protect and fight back against the negative things that board her ship. So I liked how it was a discussion on AI and how she became almost a person in the sense that she developed a personality. I really liked that it came with that experience, and I liked the way the plot went in the second half, but the first half very much felt like setup. So because of that, the first half dragged a little bit, but the second half really picked up with extra characters and passengers that were on her side. So it was a bit more varied in the second half, and it was also mismarketed a little bit as being a found family book, or maybe that was just my genuine misreading of the situation, depending on the blurb, because yes, there are a bunch of ragtag characters that end up as passengers, but they're not characters that have forged any particular like deep-seated trust. They're just characters that are thrown together in a situation and they have all separate goals. So that's a bit of a different vibe to me than having a very tight-knit found family. So again, this was good, but I also don't feel the need to hold on to it. These next books I have are part of a series, and I really hope I don't offend you by getting rid of all of them. I am apologizing in advance for this because I'm getting rid of the Bone Season, and this is the old hardback edition, and I think at a certain point it was personalized or signed or something for me, but I just don't feel a connection to it anymore. Yeah, I feel bad about it. I don't know if you can see that it's actually signed. I just don't feel a connection to it anymore. Like I was saying, I've tried her writing multiple times and something about it has just made me just fall out of love with it. I do not know why, but her style is very, not even old school, but it just reminds me of very descriptive fantasy, and I'm really struggling to get an in with her work. I respect what she's doing, and in theory I like the story, but then I start reading it and I'm just not enamored by it at all, which is why I'm also getting rid of a bunch of these paperbacks. So I've also got the Bone Season, and this is in her 10th anniversary or her newly published edition. I've also got the Mime Order, the Song Rising, and the Mask Falling. So all of this series is going. I need space on my shelves and this is taking it up. So I thought somebody would prefer and enjoy these new covers. So now someone is going to stumble upon something lucky when they find all of them together in a nearby charity shop. This next 5 set of books also might offend people, but I'm also just trying to clear stuff out, you know? And these are 5 books in the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire. Now, I've loved books in this series, so it makes me sad to part with these, but I've put them off my shelf for a while so I could kind of come to terms with the fact that, yeah, I will get rid of these. And don't get me wrong, it's taken months for that to happen, but I finally recently come around to the idea that I don't want these anymore. And unfortunately, I did really love In an Absent Dream, which is the 4th or the 3rd, no, probably the 4th or 5th book in this series, and it can kind of be read as a standalone. And I was going to go, okay, maybe I should keep this, but at the same time, what's the point of keeping this when it's technically part of a series? So I couldn't really justify holding on to it, unfortunately. And these are portal fantasies, so these characters in our real world go through a literal portal into a world that's ideal for them in terms of magic, and then sometimes they come back and they cannot reassimilate into our real life after experiencing that new magical world. And so there is a school, and this headmaster of the school, she tracks down people who have had this happen to them, or they find their way to the school just because it's a magical draw on their understanding of sorts. And so because there are kids coming to this school all the time and she's tracking them down, naturally you get groups of these kids who end up bonding together. So I liked the different adventures that they went on, at least at the beginning, but then the later books in the series were really starting to lose me, which is such a shame because I love the concept of a portal fantasy and not being able to reassimilate, because it's one of the main thoughts I had when I was reading the Chronicles of Narnia as a kid. I was like, how do these kids go to Narnia, grow up, and then come back through the wardrobe and they're kids again? That is completely wild to me. So this book series deals with that kind of concept. So as a concept, I love it. As an executed story, I didn't love it all the way through. So that's a bit unfortunate. I think all of the different characters coming into all of the same books later in the series, it very much diluted the point of the stories, and that was a bit disappointing to me. I did try like 3 or 4 books, and I've given lower and lower ratings to each book in the series. So yeah, I need to get rid of these. It's time. This next one also might shock you because this is pretty much one of my favorite authors of all time. And to be fair, I have all of her books just in different editions. So I'm getting rid of The Blood of Dragons by Robin Hobb. Never fear, Robin Hobb still remains one of my favorite authors of all time. It's just that this edition, I think I picked it up in a op shop or something somewhere, and I don't I don't need it anymore. I used to have a huge shelf of Robin Hobb, but since moving house and then having all of my same editions displayed together, I don't have room for this anymore, and that's okay. So I can put it into another op shop and someone else will be delighted to find it because it's a beautiful hardcover edition. So I'm more than happy to let this one go. I don't have emotional attachment to it, and because it's a hardcover as well, I tend to not read hardcovers physically anyway, just because paperbacks or my Kindle are easier to read. So I'm more than happy to let this go. Now, I've seen this author also doing the rounds lately, and it feels like I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. Everybody else seems to love his writing, and I've tried it multiple times. And to be fair, I did have 1 5 stars, but the rest of them, nah, not doing it for me. So I'm getting rid of Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. I also read The Tainted Cup, which was one of his new releases, and A Drop of Corruption has recently come out, which is the sequel to that series. And I just don't know why I'm not particularly interested, but his writing style just doesn't do it for me either. I find it really difficult to get into his characters' heads, and that might just be a me thing, to be honest. Like, writing is so creative and subjective, so it might just not be my thing genuinely, but it reminds me of a very descriptive fantasy that is heavy on the world building and the intent and the plot of the story, and then even though it does do characterization, it's not as deep as I want to empathize with the character. So I acknowledge that it's a very much personal preference. Even though I can get interested in the magic and the world building and what the characters are doing in terms of what the plot is revealing to me, it's just not enough. Like, my in to a story is through characters, and all of the other stuff comes second. Very close second, a very close second, but still a second. So that's why I'm letting this go. And again, this one took me a while to think about because I think I gave it a 3 stars, but I just, something about it just didn't light the spark under me, so I'm letting this one go too. And now I have saved the last 2 books to talk about because they are probably the worst books, or some of the worst books that I've read, and I made the mistake of purchasing them. So one I finished, one I DNF'd. The one that I finished is An Academy of Liars, and this is like it was attempting to be an edgy dark academia and it just kept failing. So I am more than happy to get rid of this. This is one of the first books that I added to this pile when I decided to film an unhaul months ago, and I just found this completely ridiculous, and I think I've got some currently reading video about it. So if you actually want to know what this plot is because you're interested in dark academia and you might have a bit of a different reading taste to me, I can link that for you down below as well, so you can go and check it out because it might be for you, but it was not for me, and I ended up giving it a 2 stars. I have no connection to this whatsoever. I'm annoyed that I still own it, and I'm more than happy to let it go. And then the last book that I am so excited to let go is this one, and it's Blood of Hercules. This is probably the worst book I have ever tried to read, and I cannot understand why it is so popular because it's complete and utter garbage. I think I got through 60 pages of it and I was so angry that I had to put it down because I was like, how did this get published? Honestly, how? It is so poorly written, poorly executed, and poorly set up in terms of the premise, and the blurb is just completely and utterly misleading. I thought, how is this a product that an actual publishing house has put together? Because this book is a joke. And I think I have a vlog actually called Don't Read This Book. That's how much I think you should avoid it because, it was just not good, not a vibe. And I'm actually worried that there's a book on my TBR cart that is a very similar vibe, and that's this one, The Games Gods Play. And again, they're both Olympian gods related, and this one has a trial in it. I think the first one had a trial as well. So is that just a formula in the same way a cozy fantasy is a formula that is getting readers into reading right now? Because I have no problem with getting new people into reading, but when a genre becomes so oversaturated, it's really hard for readers who have been reading for a long time and know what they like to find new stuff that they like, because I feel like I'm really struggling. So I did debate a little bit and go, maybe I should put off filming this unhaul and see if I've read this already, and then that way I know whether I should include it or not. But honestly, I've just gone, nah, I've got all of these books to unhaul, 19 of them in total. They're not waiting around any longer. This one will be probably read, I hope, in the month of June. So keep an eye out for my June wrap up and June videos, because if I like it, I'm going to be surprised. I've heard negative reviews, but if I did want to unhaul it, this would be book number 20 for this video. So that is everything that I want to unhaul. Let me know if you get rid of books or you let them go pretty easily. I would would be interested to know. I know that letting books go is not always easy to do, but I have perfected the art of unhauling and DNFing, and I am much happier for it. So thank you again so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.